spiritual live stream? What is an almost spiritual live stream? So one of the conversations, and it's a little bit controversial, is that where does spirituality cross religion? Well, in my world, the two are completely different. Whether you're into religion or not is completely irrelevant to whether you're spiritual or whether you use energy. So that is the controversy of the topic today. It's almost spiritual. So can you be spiritual and not follow any religion? Is that possible? Well, in my world, absolutely. In fact, it clarifies things. It clears the deck. It clears the dogma, it clears the confusion, and it clears the need for one to be better than the other. You're either connected or you're not, my Jedi friends. You're connected in or you're not. And that's the simplicity of it. So that is it. That's my controversy. And that will be the topic of today's live stream. I've decided to do this one a little bit later than I usually do because I like to mix it up with the different crowds to see what happens when I do at different times. So that's going to be the topic for tonight's little ramble. And it's interesting because I have this conversation a lot about people that tell me that they're spiritual. Now, what does that even mean? What does it even mean? So let's divide that down. Let's take religion out of it completely for this section. What does spiritual even mean? So it could be, let's face it, you can be spiritual by going to the bar and ordering shorts. There's plenty of spirits there, folks. Plenty. There's plenty of spirits available if you go down your local bar. So you can be spiritual officially. You can tweak the meaning and be a little bit spiritual there, can't you? Oh, look at that. I've got Ladies Love Chronicles has jumped into the thread. Almost spiritual. Yes, please. That's closer than non-Jedis around me, lol. Well, you know the score, Ladies Love Chronicles. I notice there's a little tweak on your name there as well. You've been playing around with your name emoji. Well, fair play. Not the emoji, but the actual name. Fair play. Because I think you were in the studio the last time. So you're obviously out of the studio. Or maybe you're in the studio with Chronicles this time. But good to have you back on the thread. Yes, this one is a little bit irreverent today. We're a little bit irreverent. We are touching the boundary. We're going to talk about what is spiritual, what isn't spiritual, and does it all intersect? How does it all intersect? Because I'm sick of listening to people tell me how they are better people because they follow this religion or they do this thing. They're usually the biggest, I can't even say it because I'm not 5 minutes into the thread, so I'll nicify the word. They are usually the biggest hypocrites amongst us. So I've got Edit Boys in the house. Well, hi to you, Edit Boys. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for joining in the thread and joining Ladies Love Chronicles. So, Ladies Love Chronicles. Yes, I am now, lol. We are mobile. We are a mobile studio. Cool to you. Sup, Edit Boys. Hello, brother. Well, hello, brother. Good to have you in. Good to have you in the house. We're just going to have a random live stream. Sup? Well, to anyone new to the house here, the way that these live streams work is I put some clickbaity title on there and we see where the energy takes us. I absolutely prepared nothing. I prepared absolutely nothing for this live stream. I thought I'd throw a topic there that has been topical this week. So what has been topical this week? And I've been talking about some people talking to me about how spiritual they are. And I'm a little bit of a contrarian when I get into this grounds like, well, are you spiritual? How spiritual are you? What does spirituality mean to you? What does that even mean? It's like it's usually people that say that they're spiritual. If you need to say you're spiritual, you're probably not. That is my reality. So I've got Edit Boys. I like to sub. Well, thank you, Edit Boys. That is brilliant. Already, I've got a subscriber and a like. I've got my first like of the stream. Well, YouTube likes that. YouTube likes it when I get likes. They give me a little bit more airtime because I had been on the naughty step. I've got the cat in the house. Look, the cat has joined the stream. Look, the cat has joined in, decided it wanted a bit of the action. So that's what happens. As soon as I start the streams, the cat wants in. Obviously felt the vibe and the energy. You know how it is. Let's have a look here. So, edit boys, keep it up, bro. You're amazing. Well, thank you, my Jedi friend. That is very kind of you to say so. I've got Katak in the house. Indonesia is demonstrating. Well, I don't even know what's going on in Indonesia. I don't watch the news, Katak, because the news is filled with negativity. I get my news from memes. That is the truth of it. The only time I find out what's going on in the world is when one of my mates sends me this mad meme and I'm like, this can't be happening. It can't be happening, but it usually is. It usually is. So there we have it. I've got 7 sacraments of health with a little emoji with love hearts in the eyes. That's very nice. Nice to have you here. 7 sacraments of health. Got ladies love chronicles. Cat's got a bit of catitude, lol. Yeah, no, definitely got catitude. That cat. I've got Stuart God, calling me Baldy, and you've called yourself God. Well, hello, my godly friend. You're very observant, I must say. Fancy pointing that out. Fancy pointing out the fact that I have no hair. You must win the Sherlock Holmes Awards straight off the bat. Straight off the bat, you are in there with showing me your astute awareness. Ladies love chronicles. My news comes from within. And if I can't find it there, I get it from my Australian slaw. Well, you've got to go down under. I had a great little venture down under. I spent a year. I had a work visa many moons ago, went to Australia, spent a year traveling around there. That is a hell of an interesting place. Loved it in Oz. Had some great little adventures there. And because I was backpacking, I've probably seen more of Australia than most Australians because I went all the way round. And I made it to Ayers Rock, made it all the way round, did the whole circuit. There you go. There's a little bit of mad trivia for you. So we've got Leo Vasquez in the house. Wait, show me your head. I need to check my reflection. Oh, Leo, you're so funny. You'll be blinded by the light of this almost spiritual stream, my Jedi friends. We have got the comedians in the house tonight. Well, bring it on, my comedy friends. Throw it all out there. Let's see how we can get there. Let's see if you can get anything genuinely funny there, and see if we can get some good vibes in the house. Or by all means, throw any troll things in there. I'm all up for a little bit of banter on the streams. So fair play. So we're talking about almost spiritual. That's generally the topic. So I shall revert back to almost spiritual and talk about it. What actually is spiritual? So it's the concept. There was a lot of people have told me, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. And I always find the people that need to tell me that they're spiritual, they usually aren't. So 7 sacraments of health, as said, let the cat on camera. The cat is just zonked. Look, it's not very exciting. She's just zonked next to me. There you go. There's the cat giving you some Jedi purrs. She's just flopped at my feet, just flopped down, just likes the energy of the live streams. Because we send out positive vibes on here just to do a bit of energy work. As we go. And 7 sacraments of hell says, oh, she's a little cutie. She is my guardian. Apparently, here you go. Thanks, precious girl. Yes, she is precious. Apparently, my friend has read the energy. So cats are actually guardians. They play a good support role in this plane. And I'm really going off on a tangent now. So apparently my cat is from Andromeda. And from Andromedan cat, there you go. Not every day you get to find an Andromedan cat, is there? But she's definitely been sent as spiritual support for me in this place. And she has helped me through some difficult times. That's a Jedi cat. She's come with Jedi capabilities. You don't always get that. 7 sacraments of health. I have 2 black cats and a tabby tour. Well, fair play to you. And Leo is back in the house. Your hairline is so far back, it's eligible for a pension. Leo, don't give up the day job. I'm not sure the stand-up comedy scene is ready for you quite yet. But nice try. Keep them coming, fella. Keep them coming. Ladies love Chronicles. She's definitely a Jedi cat from Andromeda. Oh, she is, for sure. She just knows. Cats are synced energetically for someone that works with energy, like myself. Did I mention that? Did I mention I work with energy? So when I do work with energy, the cats just appear. They just know. And not only that, when my energy falls out of sync, they appear. And they're like a regulation, you know, if I'm feeling myself get anything other than the love vibe, if I'm going down the angry vibe, they pick up on it and come around and regulate things really well. I watched an interesting film as well. Apparently it's a true story about a cat that comes and saves a homeless person who's a drug addict. It's called A Street Cat Called Bob. Brilliant story. It's a true story. It's about I think a meth addicted homeless guy who was basically going down the road to ruin, and this cat appeared, completely changed his life. True story. Street Cat Called Bob. Brilliant. If you're into that, if you want a good vibe cat story, then watch A Street Cat Called Bob. It's a winner. And 7 Sacraments says all cats are Jedi. They absolutely are. I believe it. Oh, I've seen that, says 7 Sacraments. It is a winner. It is a winner. Oh, I've got Splodgy. Postman Pat had a cat. Yes, it was black and white. We've got a black and white cat. Look, the cat's trying to get out now. The cat's trying to escape. It's time for exit the cat. She wants out. The cat wants out, so I've got to let her out. She's had enough now. She's done her bit. She's done a bit of live streaming. We're going to let her out. But yes, there is a black and white cat around somewhere. She's probably sleeping at the moment because it's not feeding time. The black and white cat just vanishes when it's not food time. But if anything remotely food related happens, you could be sure that black and white cat is sensitive to all the sounds of anything that might indicate it's time to be fed. Here's a little story I'll share with you. So for years, the cats were being fed and they had the 2 bowls, and the black cat was always first in. So we always thought that the black cat was getting all the food. But what we found was that the black cat was going in and only taking a little bit. And then the black and white cat was going in and hoovering up afterwards. So the black and white cat put on a load of weight. And during lockdown, and not only that, the black and white cat got a hernia. And during the lockdown, it got stuck in the cat flap. It was one of the most tragic, funny things that I've seen. A cat stuck in the cat flap with the little paws going either end. So we had to pull it out of the cat flap, and we had to straighten it up and put it on a diet through lockdown. That was awful. I had like weeks, in fact months, of cat just staring at me because we were having to ration all the food and putting it on a diet. So yeah, that was brutal. If you've ever had to put a cat on a diet, especially one that's quite persuasive, that is an interesting thing. That was the most challenging part of lockdown, quite honestly. So here we go. Splodgy. Cats will eat its owner within 24 hours if you die undiscovered in your house. Well, there you go, Splodger. I couldn't comment on that. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. Who knows? 7 Sacraments of Health. Lol. I've got Mr. UK Edits in the house. Hello. Well, hello to you, Mr. UK Edits. Good to have you on this stream, my Jedi friend. Good to have you on the stream. It's good to have you all on the stream. Thank you for all joining in, and feel free to get involved in the chat. And also, if this is even remotely entertaining for you, if you could do me a favor, folks, and just press the like, because it helps me with the algorithm, apparently. But I mean, only if you like it. I don't want you to do it just because I'm telling you to do it. Like, you're either entertained or you're not. But if you are staying here, then it would be appreciated, because it does help. It does help me with the algorithm, because I am on the YouTube naughty step at the moment, if the truth be known, because I reached a point where I was a little bit too free with my language, my fruity language, and I'm pretty sure that YouTube has me as a high risk, especially going live. So it's probably only showing like a small percentage of people my lives, just in case I go rogue. I go rogue again live. So I have been better lately. I've been reining in my language. But see, growing up with an Irish dad, where every second sentence was a swear word. In fact, swear words were sometimes the whole sentence. I've been sort of desensitized to what is considered offensive language. It's just an Irish thing. Well, it was with my dad. My friends used to laugh when he used to come out telling stories. I used to bring him away with us. We used to take him away. It was good fun. Bring the lads away, and yeah, he always used to blend in quite nicely. Blending quite nicely he did, with all of his tales, because he's Irish. Of course, he can tell a story. Well, he could when he was alive. He has passed to the other side now, my Jedi friend. So he's gone from drinking spirits to spiritual. So there you have it. There you have it. So let's have a look. We have got splodger, splodgy. They do. Well, dogs will near starve to death before you get eaten. Well, let's face it, splodger, quite frankly, if I'm dead, I don't want my pet starving, and I'm not going to worry about whether I'm getting eaten or not. In fact, I think it's a fair bit of recycling, isn't it? I mean, considering, human beings eat all sorts of meat. Oh, the cat wants back in now. Cat wants back in. Doesn't stay out for long. She's back in now. She's a bit temperamental, the cat, so I have to let her back in. So I do think, we kill loads of animals to eat them for the food chain. I think we should be throwing. I think we should give something back to the food chain myself. So what happens to me when I die? Well, I ain't going to care about that, my Jedi friends. I don't care. I have no attachment to my dead body. If an animal can benefit from eating it, it is very welcome to it. And if I should die and lock the cats in, then I think that's fair game myself. Quite honestly, I think that would be fair game. I wouldn't want them to starve to death. So kudos to them. Kudos to them. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. But I don't have any real attachment. When I'm dead, I ain't going to be worried about what happens to my body. Because again, that ties into the theme of it. I am not religious. I have never subscribed to any religion. I was actually christened at the Church of England. But then if you look at the Church of England, I wasn't christened till I was 10, so it was very much an afterthought. And all it was a big party. I just remember the vicar getting absolutely leathered. My mum was just shoveling alcohol down him. So it was just a complete piss up. The afterthought of the christening that I had when I was about 10 years old. And I didn't really think much of it. I only ever go to churches for weddings, christenings, and funerals. I've never been a subscriber. And the whole God thing, I just can't get my head around it myself. I just can't get my head around it. A supreme being out there judging us. And the worst part is giving all of these people license to think that they speak for him. Now that's where things sort of go wrong. And let's look at the priesthood. There's a lot of paedophiles there, aren't they? Does God talk through them as well? Gets covered up a bit. I know that's controversial, but it's true, my Jedi friends. When was the last time we saw some priest go to jail for paedophilia? We never do we? Because it's all in God's name. And let's face it, Church of England was set up because one person didn't agree with the church. We had a king, Henry VIII, that said, no, I do want to get divorced. I don't care what the church says, so I'll create my own church. Which was kind of ironic, wasn't it? Because there was a big fallout in my lifetime when Prince Charles wanted to get divorced and remarry, and the Church of England went, no, you can't do that. The Church of England was founded on a divorce. It was actually set up because the king wanted to get divorced. So it's all messed up. It's completely messed up, all of this dogma and these interpretations of what it actually means. Anyway, that's me off my high horse. Calm down, my Jedi friend. So JD Slide is in the house. Good day, all the way from Oregon. How's it going, mate? Well, good to have you here, JD. Thanks for joining. Thank you for joining. Yeah, it's going pretty well. So far, so good. Your body will go back to the earth. Exactly. I mean, I came from nothing. I will go back to nothing. It's very Monty Python, isn't it? What have you got to lose? Nothing. So there you have it. I've got Splodgy. They allow homosexual and trans vicars. Well, yeah, absolutely. It's gone completely nuts. The world has gone nuts. The UK has gone completely nuts at the moment. Completely nuts. Let's pay £8 million a day for hotels full of pedos next to schools. And then if the kids take any weapons to stop the pedos getting them, they get thrown in jail for that. It's insane. You could not make this up. It's like it is like Monty Python. They did predict all of this lunacy that's happening at the moment. I've got Darren Salinger in the house. Hi. Well, hi, Darren. Thanks for joining the thread. Thank you for joining in, my Jedi friend. I've just been touching a little bit of controversy today with the almost spiritual live stream because I'm non-religious. So I don't subscribe to any religion. And my dad grew up in Belfast. That's probably part of it. And he had friends that were both Catholic and Protestant. And so he always said to me, son, look, it's a lot of nonsense. Religion is a lot of nonsense that tells you that you can't like someone because they're a certain religion. That doesn't make any sense. Didn't make any sense to him growing up in the streets of Belfast. And my dad was a maverick back in the day because his dad, my granddad, his best friend converted religions to marry the woman of his dreams. So they were so close that my dad grew up calling him his uncle, calling his mate his uncle, and vice versa. His kid grew up calling my granddad the uncle. So my dad and the son of my granddad's friend used to go out. One week they'd go to the Catholic side, and the next week they'd go to the Protestant side. And the thing is, if anyone had found out in any of them, they could have been in a lot of trouble, could have been killed for going in that. But of course, when people were exploring, where do you come from? How long have you known each other? And they just say, well, how is Uncle Niall? And that was it. They were just accepted. They seamlessly transitioned. He was like a sleeper agent. He was like an undercover operative in that environment. But the whole lunacy of religion was very high in Belfast. So my dad always said, look, you don't bother going to church. You don't want to go to church, son, you don't go. It's a lot of nonsense. That was my upbringing from someone that grew up in Belfast. So there you have it. So Splodgy. I like the Quakers and the Mormons, Amish, those kind of Christians. Well, quite frankly, Splodger, I like anyone I can have a normal conversation with. So I've had Jehovah's Witnesses and I've had the Mormons come around and knock the door, the John of God people. And I always invite them in for a conversation and a cup of coffee. And I've had some great conversations. I really have. I've had a lot of fun too. I've had a lot of fun in those conversations because my granny used to do it. She used to invite them in. And my granny used to tie them in knots with their own rules of the Bible. She really knew it. She knew it inside out, used to tie them in knots. And I had that. I had the Jehovah's Witnesses came round once and they gave me this. They said, let me read you this passage. And they said that they said to me that God hates sin. And I said to them, I said, I found that very difficult to believe because, I grew up and I used to hear that God is love. So to hear that God hates anything seems a little bit counterintuitive. And she said, no, he hates sin, but he loves the sinner. I was like, well, that doesn't seem to make much sense, especially since God created us. Why would he create any aspect of stuff that he hates? It doesn't add up to me. And I'd be having conversations like this the whole time, tying people in knots, saying, what about the quote, judge not, yet least ye be judged? You're not judging the sinners. So yes, we used to have some interesting chats back in the day. So yeah, I've always invited them in. I'm happy to have a conversation with anyone and talk about whatever they like, but they have to be open to my contrarian views and my difficult questions that I frequently ask. So there you have it, my Jedi friends. That is my slant on these things. That's just my slant on these things. And that is almost spiritual for you. I'm almost spiritual. So, Splodgy, did you see that wee Scottish girl with the sword and the axe? Yes, apparently she's been arrested. She's been arrested now. Now, whilst, obviously we can't have people running around with axes and swords, you can sort of understand it when there's hotels full of paedophiles in the neighbourhood and such a high prevalence of sexual harassment and sexual assault. I mean, it really is lunatic. It's completely lunatic what's happening in this country. The only way that I can explain it is that they must be teeing it up for a revolution. They must be wanting us to go into a revolution because it's so egregious. It's so ridiculous that you couldn't make this stuff up. And apparently it's costing the UK taxpayer something in the region of about £8 million a day for all of these hotels. 8 million a day in that region. That's what we're paying for the privilege of having all of these migrant hotels, for the goods that we do. You come and join us. We'll give you hotels, give you mobile phones, give you some money. Here you go. Now the local school is that way. I've got to laugh because it's so sinister. It's so ridiculously sinister. But what else can you do? I do think that there's going to be mass rise up. I mean, let's face it, if you're a parent and your kid's just being sexually assaulted, because there's a bunch, there's a paid hotel full of migrants that believe it's completely all right to go and harass 12-year-olds and sexually assault them, then that's going to cause problems, my Jedi friends. You don't need to be a genius to work that one out, do you? But apparently the government, they haven't worked it out yet. And not only that, the worst thing is all of this started with the Tories. So both parties are just as bad. All of these hotels, all have pre-existed. So, but as I said on a previous stream, there is a positive out of this. It's the first time in my lifetime that a large majority are seriously, I think people are realizing now that both parties are equally sinister. And it's the first time in my lifetime where there's a viable third option now. Because let's face it, the third option was always like the Liberals, and they were always toothless because they had to join one or the other to make up the majority. Never really had much to do with it. But it is looking like people are sick of it now. And, with the wastage, and you only need to go down to the shop and see how expensive things are. And people can't afford it. And the reason can't afford it because we're printing money. We're in an economy where we owe more money than we actually earn as a nation now. So the only way that we can make that up is to borrow it. We're borrowing more money than we earn. We're in a Ponzi scheme. We're living in a Ponzi scheme. And the government can just print money at will. And the amount that they've printed is reflected in how expensive things are to buy now compared to what they were, say, 5 years ago. Or even if you go back 10 years ago, I mean, it's insane. The price increases, the inflation that's happened here, the negligence of the governments. There you go. So how do you stay zen? How do you keep high vibe when all of this lunacy in the world is happening? And that is really what we're talking about here. How do you stay spiritual in a lunatic asylum? And fortunately for you, my Jedi friends, I have experience in this department. Because for those of you new that don't know my back history, is that my parents were both psychiatric nurses, and I grew up within the grounds of a psychiatric hospital, or a bona fide lunatic asylum, as it was called back in the 70s and 80s when I was at school. So I was a lunatic on day release. And I used to tell people that the real lunatic asylum is outside of the hospital, because in the hospital, and here's another one of my little things I talk about, in the hospital, if you show signs of doing damage to yourself or others, they section you, they sedate you, or they electrocute you, or a combination of all three, because you're a lunatic. If you want to harm other people or yourself, you're a lunatic, and they'll do what it takes to shut you up or shut you down. And if you do that in the real world, that qualifies you to be a world leader. We'll do harm to others. Like, we'll be a world leader. We'll start wars. We'll do stupid stuff. We'll be corrupt. And we've got a housing crisis here. You couldn't actually make it up, could you? We've got a housing crisis in the UK. And I was looking on X. Somebody had an interview with Angela Rayner saying that there was we've got a housing crisis, and she's just bought her third house on an MP's salary, apparently, folks. Well, isn't that ironic? We've got a housing crisis, but she's got 3 houses. It's all good, friendly fun. Splodger says you're exactly right. Well, I wish I wasn't, quite honestly, Splodger. I've got Candy in the house. Hello. Well, hello, Candy. Thank you for joining me on my little rant. Yeah, I didn't know where this was going to go, but this is where we've ended up, in the lunatic asylum that is the UK right now. We are facing true lunacy. I never thought I'd see anything like this in my lifetime, but here it is. It's on our doorstep. Absolute madness. Absolute madness. And the thing is, people voted these lunatics in. People are so stupid that they vote for these idiots and then complain, oh no, they didn't say, they've been lying to us. They've been lying all our lives. You're foolish to believe some of the lunacy there. So Splodger, I'm quite excited by it, to be honest. Well, fair play to you, Splodger. It's certainly adding to the intrigue of the situation. I mean, part of me is curious as to how dystopian can this go. And the thing is, the only one that's been making sense, well, there's a couple of people making sense, not many. In Parliament, like Rupert Lowe's calling it all out, and he's making sense, but unfortunately he's just a single voice, a bunch of lunatics, bunch of sycophantic lunatics stuck in Parliament. And David Icke, for everybody that was putting him down, David Icke actually called this years ago, said exactly what was going to happen, and it's absolutely happened to the letter, exactly the way he called it. And they called him the lunatic for coming out with this stuff. They called him the lunatic back there. He's been right all the way along. All of the stuff he predicted, all these conspiracy theories that he came out with a few years ago, actually, they're playing out exactly the way that he said. That's quite interesting. As soon as I mentioned David Icke, there's a massive fall off on the viewership. The 2 times there's been a massive fall off on this thread. The first one was when I said that I didn't believe in God. And the second one when I talk about David Icke. So it's interesting, isn't it? Interesting. But that filters things down, because that means that the people left are probably the right audience. So, I find that very interesting. But is there anyone that's actually listening that's in the UK? I'll be interested to get your thoughts and feelings on this one. Because obviously I live in one part of the country. I don't know what is really going on in the rest of the country. We see little posts I see on X. I don't watch the news anymore because I don't trust them. Who would trust the BBC? Absolutely. They told us that Notting Hill Carnival was the best one yet. It's the safest because the report came in. There was only about 550 arrests. It was peaceful. Peaceful Notting Hill, only 550 arrests, knives, guns, killer stabbings, like absolute carnage. And we're getting news reports. Oh, it was a lovely display. Now you can be sure if that was like Tommy Robinson or something, there'd be a revolution in the media. If you took what happened in Notting Hill and applied it to the far right, everyone's far right these days, aren't they? If they don't agree with the narratives. And yeah, it would be a revolution. And you see the stuff that is mad with the two-tier policing. Not only that, the inquiries that are coming out now that Rupert Lowe's uncovering about how the police were complicit in the cover-up of all of the child abuse as well. It's insane, absolutely insane. Who do you trust now, folks? Who do you trust? Do you trust anyone? That's quite an interesting one, isn't it? So I never thought I'd be quite here. So what I want to do, I want to balance it today, folks, because we talked about a lot of the stuff that isn't working. So let's talk about something that can. So everything, the stuff that I talk about is all about giving you energy tools so that whatever lunacy is going on in the world, that you have a toolkit to get yourself to a better place. And one of the big toolkits is not listening to the news. As I say, the only time I get any news is when people are sending me memes. And I got a meme of this schoolgirl with an axe and a knife today. I thought, what is this nonsense? And sure enough, absolute bedlam. So I get most of my news with memes. That's how I find out what's happening in the world. So I've got Jones, 1884. I only believe sources that reinforce things I already thought. That's how I know I'm getting the best information. That's everything. That's everyone does that. And not only that, but the algorithms on social media are primed to do that as well. So do we ever get any truly objective sources? You know, what is going on? What can we believe? And the thing is, now that AI is here as well, it's even more sinister. Could start a revolution with an AI video and people can't tell the difference. And that is the reality of the world that we live in right now, isn't it? That there's all of these ways to affect our mental well-being. And the best thing that you can do is just switch off all of your electric devices and go for a walk in the woods. That's probably the safest bet at the moment, folks, because it's really important to be able to detach from the electrical vibes that surround us around. So I've got Claudia in the house. I just asked for help because I feel so sick from narcissism abuse and found you. Here from Italy. Well, hello, Claudia. Well, if you are subscribed to my channel, you'll know I talk a lot about this and the role that narcissists have in the world of the empath or the light worker. And people that are sensitive to energy, good people, people that want to help, people that want to do good. One day that they wake up and they realize that there's a certain demographic of people that have no empathy. And this is an absolute revelation. I never knew this was even possible until way later in life. And then I found out what narcissism was. I also found out I have narcissists in my family, which explained a lot, of not being able to reason with them, not being able to have a sensible conversation, being wrong all the time, being gaslit. Recreating reality in an instant. I don't remember that. I mean, it's a horrible thing. To be on the receiving end of narcissistic abuse will challenge your mental health like nothing else on earth. Nothing else on earth. Anyone that has been truly on the receiving end of narcissism, I mean, it will test you. It will test your entire reality. If you can get through that without a trip to a psychiatric hospital, then you've done really, really well. and learning to get out, learning to test the signs, to identify the signs of narcissism. It's a big thing. You definitely need you need to learn what are the symptoms, what are the signs, what am I looking out for here. And Claudia says, thank you so much. It's no coincidence that I found you. So grateful. Well, it's a pleasure, Claudia. And if you've watched any of my stuff, you'll realize that it's all about for people that are sensitive to energy to take an empowered view of your own energy and everything that happens to you. And the gift that the narcissist will give you is having very clear boundaries. Most people that are sensitive to energy don't have clear boundaries. A narcissist will just violate boundaries. They'll just keep doing it, doing it, doing it, doing it, until you have a boundary in place that's so clear that you'll exit the relationship. You will just exit. You'll just exit stage left because you realize they're just going to keep violating your boundaries. That's what narcissists do. You tell them not to do something, they will have to do it because they're narcissists. They're in control. They're the one that's in control in their reality. And until you wake up to this, you're going to keep getting abused. So the waking up to narcissism is one of the hardest things that anyone that's sensitive to energy is going to have to do on the journey. It is tough. It's really tough. And Claudia says, I'm working on boundaries. Well, until they're really clear, Claudia, that the more people will test them. You'll get tested and tested and tested and tested and tested. You'll get increasingly boss level narcissists in your reality until your boundaries are so clear. They're so clear and they're non-negotiable. So for me, I've got narcissists in my family. I don't even talk to them now. And sometimes I'm in their company. I just won't even talk to them. It's so clear. I know what I'm getting. I know that there's no point. There's no reasonable end to any debate. I know that if I open my mouth or even engage in a conversation, I know where it's going to lead, and it's nowhere good for me. So I just cut them off, off switch, off. It's the only way to deal with narcissism, is to get out, especially if it's your family as well, because a lot of people that are sensitive to energy get born into families with narcissists in them. So it's a lifelong learning. And just because people are family doesn't mean you have to deal with them. Doesn't mean you have to talk to them. No, you don't. According to who? You make your own rules. If life is a game, you make your own rules in the game of life. And this is the reality that anyone that's sensitive to energy has to reach when they're dealing with narcissism. So Claudia says, yes, I'm in this test phase. I was much better, but now I struggle. Yes, my parents. Well, I have a narcissistic mother. I haven't talked to her for over 3 years now because there's no point. It's just no point. She's wired one way. We can't have a sensible conversation, but she understands the fact that we're done now. That's it. That's it. Game over. No more. And it's the only way. It's the only way. And usually the last thing that a narcissist will threaten you with is, if it's a narcissistic parent, it'll be inheritance, which was ultimately what was thrown at me. You'll get nothing. Well, I'm going to get nothing. It's good news for my sister. She's going to get everything, but I wasn't going to be bullied by, the threat of being left out of the inheritance. Keep it. That's what makes her happy. Keep the lot. Don't threaten me with that shit. In fact, get out of my life. I'm not interested. Not interested. And there's all sorts of tricks of the trade. And most people sell their soul to the devil for inheritance. I've seen it. I've seen it play out in my role as a nurse. I've seen what it does to families. The inheritance. How it can divide people and get them fighting with each other and at each other's throats. And how spiritual is that? It's not very spiritual, my Jedi friends. So dealing with narcissism and dealing with boundaries, well, it really depends. How much are you prepared to sell your soul to the devil for what could be money, could be something else, could be security. People get stuck in relationships with narcissism. Well, I don't know where to go. Through fear. Because another thing that a narcissist does is take everything away. They destroy your social network around you, so you're completely dependent on them. That didn't work with me because I'm quite a social being. So there you go. And Claudia says, I'm not capable to abandon them. They're old. Well, I can't comment on that, Claudia. I certainly abandoned my mum when I realized that nothing good was coming from me. I don't want money. I feel guilty. Well, guilty for what, Claudia? Again, this is heavy stuff. This is the sort of stuff I work with people one-on-one. So I don't expect this to get resolved over a live stream. This is heavy duty stuff, and it's usually deep rooted, and there's usually something at the core of it. But once you release that, then you get your freedom back. You get your freedom back. So here we go. We've got All Cat, Alicia. What is your opinion of depression and its relation to spirituality? And I've got Grimsome that says, hi. Hi, Grimsome. Welcome back. Claudia says, thank you so much. Great question. I think that's All Cat, Aisha. So my opinion of depression and its relation to spirituality. So anyone that is remotely spiritual will almost definitely hit depression, probably thinking suicidal thoughts as well. And that is an indication. So in my world, in the world of energy, there's no such thing as a negative emotion. There's only guidance. We have a emotional guidance system. So if you're feeling depression, that's your body, that's your energy in motion, your emotion telling you that something is profoundly wrong and needs to change. So that is that's what needs to happen. So depression and its role in spirituality is telling you that something's profoundly wrong. And you already know what's wrong, and you're probably putting restrictions on it. So here are some of the frequent flyers. When people know that something's wrong, usually stuck in a relationship. So Claudia's pointed out a big one, obligation to family. Your family are awful to you, but you feel guilty to walk away from them. Well, bottom line is that, you've got to serve yourself first. You came here to live your life. And if you're not living, if you're not truly alive, you're not feeling truly alive, if you're not doing the stuff that you want, you're dying. If you're not living, feeling alive, feeling uplifted, energy, emotion that's positive, then you're dying. Part of you's already dead. And you're dead because you haven't cut the cord that's keeping you from that. And where energy is concerned, so in Claudia's case, being attached to parents, where it's all negative, but you feel guilt because that's been trained into you. And without cutting that cord, you're going to lose your life force. It will drain out of you slowly. It's like a wound that you don't put a plaster on. You'll bleed out. Energy is the same. It cuts and it bleeds slowly. So the main things that people get caught into from an energy perspective is getting stuck in a relationship or a job that you hate, but you feel stuck to, you feel trapped. Now, in relationships, that tends to be because you feel that no one else would love you, or you'll be on your own. And the fear of being alone or getting out of it and what happens next is bigger than the fear of staying in a relationship. So what you're doing is balancing. You're telling yourself in your mind, there's two bad options here. And so you're going with the one that feels safest, the one that you're stuck in, because you've already created a reality where the alternative is even worse. So that's definitely, that's stuff I used to see quite frequently. And I see with my clients that I work with, people that come to the Jedi Training Academy. It's a belief system where we're stuck energetically in a situation that's draining us slowly, draining our life force, but feeling stuck and disempowered to do anything about it. So I've got Sandra has entered the thread here. So yes, when on the phone, if they cut you off, do the same when they pee you next time on the phone. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Well, for me, my boundaries are really clear. A great narcissist test is narcissists hate their own medicine. If they can't take it, they shouldn't be giving it. And that's how I regulate If somebody is rude or disrespectful or nasty to me, then I'll do it straight back to them. And if they get precious about it, then that tells me everything. And here's what a narcissist will do. They'll tell you about themselves, but they'll project it on you. They'll tell you that you are narcissistic. They'll tell you that you are unreasonable. They'll tell you that you don't understand. They'll tell you that you triggered it. They'll tell you that the reason they're behaving this way is because of something that you did, that you are the cause. That is an absolute masterclass in narcissism for you there. And the trouble is, as an empath, you start to believe that reality. It starts to seem feasible when you start to beat yourself up. Now, the thing is, as an empath, that's a default for an empath, to beat yourself up. For narcissists, they never beat themselves up because they're never wrong. They're never wrong. A narcissist is never wrong. And the game for the narcissist is to drain your energy. They're like a vampire of the world. So there you go. They've got you because they know your weakness and your weakness. You try and reason with them, and they don't have. There's no reasoning capability for a narcissist. They can play. They can pretend. They can play nice occasionally, but they don't care. Ultimately, they have no empathy. And until you wake up to that, you're playing a game with no rules. You're playing a game of chess, and they don't have a king. You'll never checkmate them because they don't have a king. There you go. That's probably a good analogy for it. So here we are. And Ali says, let's have a look. Oh, I'm running out of room. I haven't kept up with the comments. So I shed some tears because the truth hurts. And I don't know what to do. But thank you for your reply. Yeah, it can feel that way, Ali. So goodbye and good luck. Good luck with that. And Claudia says, you're 100% right. Harry Shannon is on the line. Hello, Harry. I just keep away from people. That's a good move. People that are sensitive to energy, that's usually a good move, Harry. That works as well. And we've got Linzarella is back in the house, staying up late again. Hi, Linz. Welcome back. One of the things you have to realize when you walk away is there's still a grieving period. Not because they were good parent, but a realization that when you walk away, that you know that you're right. Absolutely, Linz. And people that are sensitive to energy are always going to have that grieving period. And Harry has given me the wave. Hello, Harry. Thank you, my friend. But yes, this is true. Like the thing is, it's always stacked against people that are empathic, people that are good people. Because when you're dealing with narcissism, you've a sense of conscience. You've a moral conscience, a moral compass that they don't have. And you're trying to navigate that, and they don't have it. Their game is to keep you trapped and to keep you disempowered. This is the most important thing to realize, that a narcissist game is not to love you, it is to absolutely trap you. It's a bit like they run a zoo. They put you in a cage and they want to keep you there. They become your zookeeper. They want you completely dependent on them. And they will drain just enough energy to lose your motivation to do anything about it, but not enough to kill you, because they don't want you dead. They want you almost dead and completely trapped in their web. That is when a narcissist wins. That's their game. And it sounds messed up, because it is. It is a messed up game that the narcissist plays, and they can understand, they identify empaths. They know exactly how to play you. They know every move you're going to make. They know that you're going to appeal to their sense of empathy when they don't even have one. That's the thing. They don't even have one. You've got to know the rules of the game that you're in. That's the problem that empaths have in that dynamic. You've got to know the rules of the game. And most empaths don't know till it's too late and they're absolutely done. They've no life force left because it's all been drained out of them. And Claudia says, gosh, yes, that is unfortunately Claudia. And, you know, as somebody that was taken to that level, and I can tell you, before I woke up to this, before I knew any of the stuff I'm talking to you about now, I felt suicidal on numerous occasions because I started to question my own reality because I've been gaslit so many times. But then the wake up period, when you finally realize, you get your sanity back, you realize that you don't have to tolerate this. You realize that what's the worst thing that could happen if I cut them out of my life? And then you get your energy back. You speak your mind. You know, the final, shall we call it, a conversation that I had with my mum, for example. It was a lifetime of, you know, dealing with all of her shit and then firing it back, giving her a taste of her own medicine. And she tried all the tricks that usually work with me, but I was done. I was done listening to it all. Done. I was done. I wasn't going to be gaslit. I was going to finish what I had to say. And when she said, I've had enough of this, another tactic the narcissists will use, I've had enough of this now. I'm like, well, I'm not coming back. So you need to shut up and you need to listen to everything I've got to say. So I just played a new game with a new set of rules. Now, I'm not saying it felt good. I didn't feel good about it, but it was a necessary evil to cut the cord of nonsense, to cut the drain, like to cut the drain to my life force, to cut the energy cord. And that's why I work with energy now, because now I've got energy tools to help me to do these things. That it's not so painful or brutal now, because I've learned tools to deal with this kind of thing, to set it up. And not only that, I'm very sensitive to identifying narcissism. I'm very good at identifying it early so I don't get caught again. And it doesn't necessarily mean being cynical. It just means me being myself almost all of the time, but learning the signs, learning the early warning signs, and then getting on my guard, and then testing a few little tests I've got to find out whether I'm dealing with a narcissist or not. And they can't help but reveal their hand over time. So there you have it. So let's have it. Harry says, that's what. Great. We don't need to tolerate anything, for sure, Harry. That is exactly what we're talking about here. You know, tolerance is poison for the soul. Ironically, when I did a video with that title, that was the first video that I had that got over 1,000 views. It really resonated with people, really woke people up to realize that tolerance is actually a terrible, terrible thing. If you're tolerating anything, that's bad, really, really bad. You might think it's a good thing, but it isn't. Because what that will do is eat you from within. Tolerance eats you from within. Because tolerance, by definition, it's not releasing, it's not forgiveness, it's not resolution. It is the holding in of something that feels deeply wrong and doing nothing about it. So there you go. There's my slant on tolerance. And Lynn's Arella says, they will be the victim. The narcissist is always the victim. They always put themselves in your position and reverse the energy, and then accuse you of being the narcissist, or you that have been the one that caused it all. And they're very good at it. They're very good at it. So Claudia says, sometime I'm doubting if I am the narcissist because they think that they are good parents and I am the problem. Claudia, that's called gaslighting. It's when they change the whole reality and the rules of the game and they make you feel like it's your. If your parents are doing that, I would, and they're old and vulnerable, I would walk out. I'd absolutely walk out and say, right, okay, if I'm the problem, then yeah, I shall remove the problem from your world. Good luck, goodbye. If that's their attitude, easier said than done. Claudia, it takes years to get to that point. So I don't expect that is exactly what you're going to do, but that's what I did. And that came from the school of hard knocks. Enough is enough. I respect my energy and myself too much to deal with any of that nonsense anymore. I refuse to allow people to treat me that way. And that's how I dealt with it. I walked out. I got rid of all the narcissists from my life. Enough. Enough is enough, my Jedi friends. Have to draw the line on this nonsense because it will get you nowhere. Tolerating stuff will kill you. It's like poison. Tolerance is like sipping poison every day and hoping that you'll get better eventually. That's what tolerance does to your body. Wow, this got into a dense energy today, didn't it? But I mean, this is important stuff. And if this is the stuff that you guys want to know about, then fair play. Claudia says, yes, I tolerate too much. I cannot say no. Some blockages there. Well, until you learn to say no, Claudia, you're just going to be more drained, more drained, more drained, more drained, and more drained. You're so inspiring and motivating. Thank you. Well, I hope so, Claudia, because I hate to see good people get drained and get caught in the web of narcissism and the absolute horseshit that they spin. Because the narcissists are great. They're great at making you the problem. They're great at being the problem and turning it around and making you the problem. Making you're the one. You did this. The reason I do this is because of you. Something you did made me do this. I'm a lovely person. If you hadn't done that, I would never have had to do what I did. That's a narcissist game. Not only that, they love bringing up stuff from the past. But if you bring up stuff from the past, I don't remember that. That's not the way it happened. That's gaslighting. So they change the reality to suit their game. And they'll get you doubting whether it actually happened or not, even though you know it happened. You were there, but they'll suddenly forget the stuff. They'll have 20/20 memory when it comes to the stuff that they want you to remember. But yeah, they're very forgetful on the stuff where you want to make your point. Oh, I've lived it. I've lived it, Claudia. I feel for you. I feel your pain, my Jedi friend. And I hope that you do get your boundaries in place to not tolerate any of that nonsense anymore, because it will kill you slowly. It really will. So Harry has said, setting myself free by taking responsibility for myself, facing my shadow, learning to love self, and having boundaries and learning to say no. Absolutely, Harry. Couldn't have said it better myself. That's exactly the way to deal with it. Exactly the way to deal with it. Linzarella, I left my narc parent. I left the narc boss in my job too. I set boundaries with narc friends, and I was just about to enjoy my hermit life, and I lived next door to one. Maybe I'm the narc. Well, the fact that you'd even think that you were the narc, Lens, it means that you're probably not. Because narcissists, they always blame everyone else for being narcissists. Actually, some narcissists do own up to it. So it's not entirely true. Some narcissists, they're actually proud of their narcissism. It's a badge of honor. They understand the game that they're in. And it's almost like it's provocative. I'm so good at narcissism that I can tell you that I'm a narcissist, and you're still going to get drawn into my web. It's almost like a badge of honor. It's a boss level narcissist to tell you I'm a narcissist, and you still get drawn in. Oh, that's great for their ego when they can pull that one. Claudia, yes, you got it. I wish I didn't, Claudia, but I've had a lifetime of preparation for this stuff, and I know exactly what you're dealing with, exactly the profiles that you're dealing with. And I know when you're highly empathic, how you get caught in that trap, how easy it is to get caught. You want to do the right thing. You want to find the reasonable halfway house. Everything you do to try and be reasonable, it blows up in your face. You'll always be wrong. And that, unfortunately, is just the way that they rock. That's Narcissism 101, my Jedi friends. And on that note, it's time for a bit of tea. So there you are, my friends. Well, that wasn't a very upbeat live stream, I'll give you that, but I think it was quite important, because we are talking about a really difficult subject here, and that is dealing with narcissism, especially for people that are sensitive to energy, which is why the stuff that I teach, of course. And Lynn says, let's have a look. Ginger tea. No, this is jasmine tea today, Lynn. That's my favorite tea, is the jasmine. Green tea with jasmine. Oh, it's an absolute winner. So yes, this is my fix. I drink loads of this, drink bucket loads of green tea with jasmine, and I only sell it in Sainsbury's. So there you go. I have to go do my little run to Sainsbury's every now and again, buy boxes of tea, like stash up on it. And Harry says, take care, everyone. Love Fi Scotland. Well, thanks, Harry. Thank you for joining us. Great to have you here. Some great insights there as well, my friend. Fair play. So all nice, says Linzarella. Oh, I've got the Owl Hawk is in the house. Heard the last few minutes. Very powerful chat. Thank you, Anna and Jill from Ireland. Well, thank you, Anna and Jill. Great to have you here. You're still up. You're still almost going to be burning the midnight oil, like with me. Nothing better to do late at night than listen to some random lunatic talk about narcissism. Talk about narcissism. And that is the whole thing about being almost spiritual. See, some people make the mistake of thinking that being spiritual means you have to be nice to everyone. You have to be the middle ground. You have to do the greater good. You have to tolerate bad behavior. When in actual fact, the reality of it is the complete opposite. That being spiritual is getting in touch with your dark side. Harry actually pointed this out really well. It's just as important. And let's define what your dark side is. The dark side of you is the part of you that hates getting screwed over. It's the part of you that means that you're tolerating stuff. Because if you resolve stuff, you wouldn't have to tolerate anything. The only stuff that you can't resolve is stuff that is intolerable by nature. It's a paradox, my Jedi friends. You only have to tolerate stuff. If you're a reasonable human being, then you'll always find a middle ground with decent people. But with narcissists, you'll never find a middle ground. And that's where you have to tolerate stuff because you know it's wrong. You know that they're in the wrong, but you're tolerating it. You're not putting up, you're putting up with it. You're not accepting it. You're not liking it. You're tolerating it. Tolerance is a horrible, horrible thing. There is nothing good about tolerating anything. Nothing. From a spiritual perspective, from an energy perspective, from a life perspective. Because in life, energy flows. Tolerance is stuck energy that doesn't move anywhere. It's dense. It sits with you. For me, it sits in my stomach when I'm caught, and I have to shift it. I have to do something about it. I have to. I can't deal with tolerance energy anymore. Because I know that it's going to eat me alive. It's like cancer for the soul. And it will manifest. If you tolerate bad behavior for long enough, it will actually manifest in a physical illness. And I have to say that's not medical advice, even though I worked in medicine for long enough to know that I used to track people back. Anyone that came in with cancer, anyone that came in with strokes or heart disease, I used to find these patterns, these absolute same patterns, and it always comes down to tolerating stuff that didn't work for an extended period of time, usually in a job or relationship. There you go. Ooh, controversy alert, controversy alert. Did you really say that? Yes, it's true. True story, my Jedi friends. If you're tolerating BS behavior, then you are going to feel ill. First, mentally, and then physically. If you don't do anything about it, if you tolerate something for too long, your mental illness will turn into a physical illness, will turn into death for certain. There you go. That was a bit sensationalist, wasn't it? Oh, he's off on one of his rant. That sounds a little bit out there, Adam. I think you should rein that in a little bit. You might be going a little too far with that one. So Linzarella says, do you have any energy healing tips for a pet? I know you trained in it. Is it just imagine white light on her? Well, you know the stuff, Linz. Every time we did a Jedi training, your dogs were straight in the show. They just know when you're working with energy. If you're working with energy on yourself, your pets will be attracted to it. And it's exactly the same principle. Exactly. Absolutely exactly the same thing. All of the things you learned in the Jedi Training Academy, just do it. Ground yourself, connect above, do your magnets, offset your energy, clear yourself, and project the energy. You can send it wherever you like. You send it directly to your pets. So the Owl Hawk is here. Tolerating my elderly toxic mother. You're so right. You're judged in Ireland if you don't. Live 4 miles from her, limited contact. Why do we feel compassion for them? Well, the truth is, with that one, the Owl Hawk, and I'm sure, I don't know if it's Anna or Jill or both of you falling into the same trap there. The reality of that situation is that there's a lot of guilt at play, especially in Ireland, because of the Catholicism, the Catholic culture, the guilt. Guilt plays a huge part in Irish culture. more so than any other culture. So, oh, it's Anna. Well, Anna, I can tell you for certain, you know, my dad was Irish. I had a great relationship with my dad, but my mum's English and she's a narcissist. And, you know, drawing the line under that, telling her to go stick her inheritance and to take the lot and to F off out of my life was a big move. It was a big move, but it was an absolutely necessary move. Now, some people judged me for that, but all the people that judged me, I realized that they weren't my friends. They weren't. It was a real litmus test for me because my true friends all said, I wish I had the balls to do that. Well done. Fair play to you. When you do something, when you make a big step like that defies society or goes against societal norms, it's a really good opportunity to find out who your real friends are. It's a litmus test because everybody has fair weather friends. People that if you were thrown under a bus or a rumor started that would judge you without even giving you the opportunity to give your side of the story. And that's the reality. A lot of friendships are very superficial and you never know the real ones until you have a life crisis or it hits the fan at some stage in the game. And that is the reality. That is the reality of life for people that are stuck in that, especially in Irish society. You know, they be judgmental, they give you a hard time. You don't look forward to going around there. And if that's the case, why do it? You know, life's too short. I just decided that my life was too short, that I loved myself too much to tolerate that nonsense anymore. Just set myself free, recreate my boundaries, remake the rules. Now, most people I know that were in my position would have roughed it out, would have toughed it out for the sake of inheritance. I've seen what family inheritance can do to families in my role as a nurse, and I always said I would never get caught in that trap. And then the universe gave me an opportunity to prove it. So here I am. I proved it. I proved it, my Jedi friends. So here's Claudia. She's back. Yes, I lost all of them. I am alone with my pets since 10 years. Well, a lot of empaths end up alone with their pets. Just ask Linz, you and Linz. I think you two should have a chat. I'm the same. I'm closer with cats now than I am most human beings. And that's the reality of it. That is the reality of it. So Lynn Sorella has put lots of smiley faces on that. She knows the score. Yeah, you're definitely not alone is what I'm saying, Claudia. And I'm sure that Linz is probably not the only one on this thread that feels the same way. So Anna's back. I'm very much on my own, feel overly responsible. Pets are my friends and nature. Absolutely. I've reached a point in my life now, I get way more upset if I see cruelty to animals than cruelty to human beings. I think those human beings actually, I'm starting to identify as a badger. Since anyone can identify as anything in the new world that we live in, I'm going to out-lunatic the lunatics and identify as a badger. I identify as a badger, and my real issue is that if you are caught cutting up limbs of a badger, you can only get a maximum of six months in jail. That's the maximum sentence. Fancy that. So me identifying as a badger, somebody could kill me and carve me up and distribute parts of my limbs all over the world, and they'd only get 6 months maximum sentence. There we go. So we've got TNA Hunter. Hey, bro, identify as a guy with a six-pack. Fair play, TNA Hunter. That's a great one, isn't it? In this world, being able to be anything that you want, to be able to identify as anything that you want, I think is good fun, especially when you get the liberal left come in telling me to respect their new definitions of things. I love out-lunaticking the lunatics because I spent a lifetime doing this. I realized from growing up in a psychiatric hospital, if you want to deal with bona fide lunatics, and I'm talking people that were institutionalized and some cases locked up, that when you're in that environment, you have to be able to give them the seed of doubt. My dad taught me that. He said, if you're confronted by a true lunatic, you have to get them to at least question that it might not be a good idea to go full lunatic on you. that you might be more lunatic than them. And all you have to do is get that seed of doubt across. So that's translated now when people come and start telling me all of their, what I have to call them and how they identify as certain things. I tell them I identify as a badger, and I keep a straight face about it. And then if they say anything about it, I'm like, how dare you? How dare you deny my right to be a badger? That's how I identify. I'm a badger and I'm off to my set. I am Badger. Call me Badger. So there we have it. The owl hawk. Have lots of foxes that visit the rural garden. We love badgers. Oh, I absolutely love them. I mean, I watched one of the funniest things I found was a documentary on honey badgers. I don't know if you know anything about honey badgers. I showed this to my dad in the last years of his life, and he said to me, I can't believe I spent my whole life and I didn't know about honey badgers. They are the best thing. They are the ballsiest thing. They're a classic example of what I'm talking about today, honey badgers. If you look up honey badgers, you are just getting for an absolute treat. Absolute treat. Honey badgers are in the Guinness Book of Records as the most fearless animal in the animal kingdom, because they stand up to anything, even if they've got absolutely no chance of winning. They never back down. And honey badgers will just walk into the middle of a pride of lions just to let them know that they're not scared of them. They're lunatics. Honey badgers are lunatics. If you want some fun, look up honey badgers. If you want a really good story, look up Stoffel the honey badger, Stoffle, I think, or EL. Stoffel the honey badger. It's one of the best videos ever about this badger that got injured, and they put it in a badger sanctuary. He kept escaping. They're so clever. Honey badgers are so clever. They're so resourceful. I've got Anna. I am the honey badger. Absolutely. Be a badger. Be a badger. Identify the energy of a badger, because badgers fear nothing. They're called honey badgers because they're the only animal brave enough to go and stick their nose into a beehive and grab a honeycomb. And what's wonderful in nature is there's a thing called a honeybird. Now, honeybirds love honey, but they're not stupid enough to go and get it with all the bees. So what they do, they've learned to find a honey badger. And what they do is they just fly there and they make sounds to it and lead the honey badger to the beehive. It's brilliant. The cooperation in the animal kingdom. The honeybird finds a honey badger, finds the honey, then finds a honey badger, then leads it to the honeycomb, and the badger will go in, get stung. He'll get stung, really badly stung. He'll get the honey, it'll eat most of it, and then it will leave a bit for the honeybird for showing it where it was. It's wonderful. Wonderful, the cooperation that goes on in nature, and honey badgers are just brilliant. They fear nothing, absolutely nothing. And their upbringing, and I think humans can learn a lot from honey badgers. Their upbringing is that their parent for 18 months, it just keeps taking them out to get stung by increasingly poisonous animal. So they start off with scorpions. I get bitten a few times by scorpions. And then they take them to increasingly poisonous snakes. So they spent their whole childhood just building up tolerance to venom. Now, isn't that an analogy for life? So that they're incredibly resilient. These things get bitten by the most poisonous snake. They'll get bitten and stuff that would kill most animals. Then they'll kill a snake. Then they'll pass out. They'll pass out because of the venom. Then a few minutes later, they'll wake up again, see the dead snake, and eat away. And that's honey badgers. And if you want something really like mad, there's a video called, I think if you look at the Aussie Man version, it's a funny one, the Aussie Man reviews, and you see python v jackals v honey badgers. And it's one of the funniest things you'll ever see. It's a python. It starts off with a python, and it's got the badger in a hold. And it's how the badger, and then gets attacked by a couple of jackals, and how the badger managed to kill the python and ward off the jackals. It's absolutely brilliant. So yes, embrace the energy of a honey badger. If you're feeling like you need help, you need to identify with certain energy. If you need to step up your game, then watch honey badger videos. They will uplift you. It will uplift you because these things have no fear. Down as the most fearless animal in the animal kingdom. And not because they're the strongest, it's because they're the badass. They're absolute badass. And even though if they've got no chance whatsoever, they'll square up to anything. Honey badgers. Be more badger, my Jedi friends. If you'll be more badger, your life gets easier. And that feels like a good segue to end this thread because I've now been going for 1 hour and 20 minutes. And haven't I rambled on this particular one? We've gone off on a tangent. I will say, my Jedi friends, if you do me a favor, if you're still on this thread and you haven't liked the video, it would really help me if you could. If you have liked it, of course. If you didn't like it, then don't bother, obviously. I wouldn't want you to do anything you didn't want to do, but it would help me greatly if you would like the video because it helps me with the algorithm. And also, if anyone's got anything else they want to share before I sign off, I'll probably sign off in the next minute or so. If there's nothing else there that anyone wants to say or share. But thanks for joining me. As ever, it has been quite a journey. And if you're dealing with narcissism, which a lot of you are, then pets are your friend. And not only that, there's other people out there that have drawn a line. It's time to meet your vibe tribe and find better people or better animals to spend your time with because it's poison. Dealing with narcissism is like dealing with poison and drinking it every day and think it's going to change. It never will. And even if you're stuck in islands there, Anna and Jill, you know, why not break the mold? You don't have to deal with that nonsense. And let them judge you. Let them judge you for it. Don't take any of the nonsense. And so I've got the Owl Hawk, Anna and Jill. Thank you. Linzarella, good night. Claudia, thank you. Take care. And wise words from Anna. Well, thank you all, my Jedi friends, and good luck dealing with your narcissistic characters. They're put here to test you. For the empath, you have to have clear boundaries. That's the game. Until you get clear boundaries, you're just going to get increasingly boss level narcissists attracted into your world, and they will kill you slowly. But they will kill you until you get boundaries and you just say, no, enough. Enough is enough. You do this one more time, I'm walking out and I will not be back. And then you do that. You follow through with it. That is the way to deal with these people, my Jedi friends. So good luck on your adventures and on your journey. And if you need any help with that, then get in touch with me because this is the stuff I do, mentoring. We do it on the Jedi Training Academy. I do it in groups and I also do it one-on-one as well. So if you're still watching and you're identifying with any of these issues and you're struggling and you need some help, then get in touch with me because that's what I do. I help people to navigate themselves through this. So there you are, my Jedi friends. Enjoy your evening. Enjoy the rest of your week. And I shall no doubt do another one of these impromptu lives sometime soon, but I won't plan them. I shall just vibe. I shall just vibe with it when the energy takes me. So take care, my Jedi friends. Thanks for joining me. And I will catch you soon.